What's going on, guys? It's Red Bull Tanker. Welcome back to Operation Thunderbolt. This is turn 6 for the individual allied powers. All right. The North Koreans have definitely given us something interesting to think about, so let's begin. All right, South Korea with 28 is buying 5 infantry, and then over on the supply chart, they are buying a transport, a tank, and 2 supply, which here are some notes. When talking to Imperious Leader, apparently South Korean supplies also has to come by the supply track, which, I mean, okay, but I mean, unless you're going to start this game with supplies already in country, I feel like that's just, feel like that's slightly not fair to the allies in general. But we'll keep going with that. But now we'll introduce that rule that now any supplies coming forward from the South Koreans has to come by the supply track. Actually, another thing of note was I had 2 mech here, which were not supposed to be there. I forgot those 2 mechs come from the setup that myself and Airsoft Commando created, and they were not supposed to be here. So to compensate for that, I did give the KPA Army back 1 mech from their attack on Seoul. So there is that. Alright, so once again, 28, they're buying 5 infantry, a transport, a tank, and 2 supply. Combat. Alright, so the South Koreans are going to do one thing in combat. They are going to take 5 infantry from Seoul and attack the lone mech that was left in Incheon. But before they do that, the artillery in Seoul is going to do a attrition strike against that mech first, just to see if we can hit it before the infantry even go forward. So we will go over to my phone and we will check how that goes. All right, here we go for the Incheon fight. So, well, first we have an artillery with the attrition attack, 2 or less. Let's see what happens. Miss. Okay, which means the North Korean mech does technically get a shot back, which it misses. Okay, so then now we go to the 5 South Korean infantry at 1. And there's the hit. And then the North Korean mech at 2. Misses. Okay, so that is combat for Incheon. Okay, so as we saw, alright, so this mech is gone. The South Koreans have recaptured Incheon. So now on the IPC chart, switch these 2 back. Switch those back. And okay, non-combats. Let's see here. I think the only thing we'll do is, well, I think we'll walk these 2. I'm going to send the infantry to Incheon. I'm going to walk and then bring the artillery into Seoul. So 9th Corps will only be made up of the 5th Regimental Combat Team of the 24th Division. Well, I mean, at this point, we might as well bring the rest of the 24th Division. So we're going to actually disband 9th Corps. And we're going to bring... Oh, wait, what am I doing? It's not even the American turn yet. God, what am I doing? I apologize. I jumped way too far ahead. Okay, so that is the South Koreans. That's the only non-combats they're going to do. Deployments. 5 more infantry into Seoul. Or no, that's 4 infantry. My apologies. Sorry, 4 infantry into Seoul. Oh, hello. Okay. So we got that. And then the South Koreans will collect 30. All right, over to the United States with 50 IPC to spend. They bought 3 infantry, a mech, that's actually 2 tanks, 2 fighters, and 5 supply. Combat. All right, so for combat this turn, we are going to spend a token from Busan, the bomber, and yes, the bomber and fighter. And this fighter are going to come up to do that strike on Pyongyang, along with the fighter from the Navy will come up to support the bombing strike on Pyongyang just to keep this guy down. So, with that being the only combat, let's see what happens. All right, so we have the U.S. Oops, sorry. All right, so now we have the U.S. strategic bomber strike against Pyongyang, with the 2 fighters escorting. The North Koreans have elected not to scramble. So we have the AAA for the factory at Pyongyang, missed, and now we have the bomber for damage. 1 damage. All right. Okay, well, that was a disappointment since we only got 1 damage. Okay, Allied. All right, so U.S. non-combats. First off, 7th Fleet is coming up to the Sea of Japan, so it can recover the 2 fighters that went into the attack. The bomber is going to come back to Busan. And then, like I said, the rest of the 24th Division is going to move up and join 1st Corps in Busan. Or not in Busan, in Seoul. This American fighter will also go from Busan to Seoul. Whoops. And then that should be all the ground unit movements here. So now, all right, so the big news, finally we get some deployments. All right, so this fighter will deploy, I gotta remind myself, so this is going to the 5th Air Force. We've got the rest of we've got these units landing in Busan on the 8th Army card. We have this transport that is joining 7th Fleet, or no, he is not joining 7th Fleet. He is coming here to Sea Zone 5 to dock off of Busan. Coming back. These guys are moving forward. Hold on, wait a minute. Wait. I can't remember if those supplies. So those would have been turn 2 purchases. Why am I forgetting where those were? Okay. Either way. Okay, then these guys are coming forward. Well, no. Stop. Those are UN forces. These guys are coming forward. These guys, whoops, are coming forward. So then I'm going to do something different here. So first off, these guys are coming forward, and then bombers can actually move 2 infantry forward 2 spaces. So I'm actually going to bring this regiment to the 7th Division, and this regiment from the 3rd Division are going to join this bomber and going 2 spaces. And then the other 2 regiments of the 3rd Division will follow on with the rest of those forces, which will then allow me to place these gentlemen there. Okay. All right, so that is the American turn. They will collect 50. As I've said before, I don't quite agree with those supply, at least the supply track being this long, for it taking 6 months before U.S. reinforcements really make it. Because if you look at the actual if you look at the history, so yes, the first, even though they were all under strength, the first major U.S. infantry, or the first major U.S. divisions that made it to Korea, the 24th Division, the 25th Division, and the 1st Cavalry Division, they came from Japan. There also was the 7th Infantry Division, but they stayed behind because they were very depleted. But so the war began in June, and by the end of July, the 1st U.S. Division from stateside, the 2nd Infantry Division, arrived in Korea. So that kind of puts the supply track off a little bit. And then what also puts the supply track off a little bit, at least from a historical context, is that by August, the U.S. also had been able. So between June and August, the U.S. was also able to move 2 other divisions, the 3rd Infantry Division and the 1st Marine Division, from the U.S. to Japan in preparations for the Incheon landings that happened in September. So, and I'll talk about this again when I do my postpartum, but I think the supply track is just too long, considering the fact that, again, it basically took the U.S. about a month to 2 months to ship, a whole division's worth of units to the theater of operations. And so, it definitely gives me pause to where I think, even then, like in my updated rules, I might reinstate the supply track a little bit, but I'll cut it down. And then maybe even do something where, like, we'll have some American units actually starting on the supply track, coming forward to represent, like, the 2nd Infantry Division, and then the first Marines and the 3rd Division, that were practically en route as well on the way there. So I don't know. We'll think about it. But so, okay, that's the end of the U.S. They collected 50. Sorry, I rambled on about that for a little bit. All right, over to the UN with 20. The UN is buying 2 infantry, an artillery, a transport, and 2 supply. The UN will not conduct any combat this turn. It will only do non-combats, which, let's see here. So a non-combat, these 2 fighters, are going to move to Seoul. I'm going to have to touch up this card a little bit. Well, I'll just put them right there for now. Okay, those 2 fighters are coming there. These 2 units of the 27th Brigade will come to Incheon to help back up the the South Korean defenders. The bomber can stay in Busan, or yeah, the bomber will stay in Busan. Wait, no, these 3, 9, 17. I can't. No, I think this is over here. I think this supply is supposed to be with the Americans. So, okay. Anywho. I'm sorry, guys. I'll have to look. I'll have to look it up and figure that out. Anyways, okay. So that is. Oh, and then because I was already over here, what am I doing? Okay. So then these two are coming here. These guys are coming here. These two fighters. Oh, whoops. And then these two units are moving forward. And then I'll quickly just put these guys on the supply track. And then, yeah. All right, and then that'll be it for the UN. They will collect 20. And, okay. All right, so that is it for allies. Oh, what am I doing? I'm sorry, I forgot. No, I didn't. Why do I keep thinking I forgot something? I'm not. Okay. All right, so where we stand now, the allies are winning with 30 IPC to the communist 28. And we are now moving on to turn 7. All right, guys. Well, that's going to be it for Allies turn 6. And we'll see you guys next time for turn 7. So until then, guys, as always, take care.